Roger, what I suggest is that we go to the last chapter, and that we go to the workplace. And so now that we are working from home, and I think there's a general, the last number of conferences that we did, many people estimate that we will go to 50% of the time work in the office and 50% at home. It's maybe an average where the consensus is today. But but what's the impact of that on the workplace, on the offices? Let's hear it from the research, Roger, before I say anything stupid here.
Of course, Hendrik. So just to summarize all the inputs we had here, again, a diversity of view as to what will happen in the near to mid-term. Some organizations have said, and I know Sanjay says, we really have to move to a different location. We've got to find different space because we're going to work in a very different style. We will expect, of course, some of our workforce to come into the office, but only on a temporary basis rather than a permanent fixed basis. So how do we create the right sort of space post the pandemic, which really encourages a balance between home and office working? Others, of course, have said, well, we can't actually move office right now. We're stuck with where we are. But how can we reconfigure that space in a way that encourages more social interaction, more creativity, more co-production, an office which is, again, much more designed around team working, project working, than it is sort of heads down working. And again, the role of technology will be very interesting here. You can knock down partitions, you can knock down walls, but you actually need to be able to apply a sort of soft configuration to these new offices where in real time you can actually allocate space for different purpose, for different functions. So in a sense, it almost becomes an airport. It's a hub. It's a place where people go, they can pick the type of environments they want, and the office can reconfigure almost in real time. So again, organizations are really grappling with this at the moment. It's a very big job to change the work environment, but one I think that actually impacts not just how we work, but the whole culture of the organization itself. So it's very, very significant.
We're running a poll at the moment with a lot of people answering, and the question is, which two major changes, so it's a multiple choice, do you expect to your current workplace? Is it, are you going to conduct physical alterations of the current facilities or redesign the office? Are you going to use technology to reconfigure existing space? Are you going to relocate like Sanjay is doing to entirely new office facilities? Are you going to introduce a co-working, a WeWork office model? Or are you taking further steps to virtualize the organization? Let us know what your ideas are. We'll come back with the results in a moment. Let's discuss this, the new role of workplace. Adam, I see that you're eager to share your views here.
Yes, this is very important point, especially when we move almost 13,000 people in one day last year from the typical working place to the virtual one, and we organize the completely different way of working in the almost overnight. And of course, the organization is somehow have to get used to. But our key pillars that we wanted to implement is the first is the flexi desk. It's something that you have to get used to, that you don't have your own desk. Your desk is already something that you need to choose in a real mode and to assign to this desk. But maybe this uncomfortable situation from one side. On the second side, you don't need to be at work every day. So we are talking about some part-time at home, part-time at work. For instance, we are just moving to the completely new building, which was exactly prepared to the flexi way of working. And on the beginning, before the pandemic, when we were taking the decision, we were assuming that there will be more or less one-to-one the number of desk and the number of people assigned to this desk. But during the pandemic, we revised our assignment, and we now going to have at least 1/3 more people assigned to this particular building, because we know that this part-time work will be applied. And the technology is something what is necessary. You need to assure the frictionless communication. You need to assure the frictionless meeting and the culture of the usage of this, because it's what we are facing after this fast shift to the remote work, that our employees reporting that they were working much more, and they were after a few weeks, months, they start to be exhausted. So we had to apply the completely different rules of working, different rules of management. You know, this is also the important thing, because it's you have to manage or lead your company based on the trust, based on some context, you know. So that was the significant change in our organization, also from the culture perspective. And what I would like also add, what I didn't add in the previous section, is that we, in terms of the attracting the talents, or somehow assure or improve the density of the talents in the organization, we need to assure them very attractive environment of working. And one of the key factor of this attractive environment is the ability or possibility to constant learn or to constant improve the knowledge, the competence in the particular business line, technology, and so on. But we really rely on building the competence. We don't looking on the we are not looking on the market particular skills. We looking on the market particular personalities, particular behavior that our employee want to supposed to have, because we want to build the teamwork, and we know that is the best way in order to assure the good, you know, climate, the good spirit of the cooperation.
Okay.
If I may, I would like to come from a different angle. The discussion on workplace isn't new. You know, I've been discussing this all time. Like the example, the Google-like workplace. This was the example in the industry all the time. So we've been discussing this all the time. But there's now two things which are different. One is the speed. Now with the COVID crisis, our employees need answers, and what's going to happen now? What is the new normal once the crisis is over, which is hopefully soon? And the other one is, we have been discussing this for, let's say, a couple of departments, a couple of people or something. Now the entire organization is discussing about this. And this entire work from home now is giving a different set of problems that is in the IT world, at least in the IT world now. Like, we're shifting IT problems from the office to home. Like, my printer is not working, or my Wi-Fi is not fast enough. And how is IT going to help me if I work from home? So these are different questions. And it's not the workplace and the office building per se anymore. I still go to the Google-like working, then we're all fine. Might not be perfect, but that's a good example.
There is an angle that I don't know if you have suffered and tackled, at least at the beginning of the pandemic, is the importance was to keep alive the business and concentrate to probably not impact a lot into the productivity. But once we have been living and experienced this type of interaction remotely managed for more than 1 year, and all the project has been deployed, and we have identified that we are even more resilient, and this is not probably anymore a discussion about productivity. It's about how much are we able to sustain this type of interaction, thinking in the long term. This is for the well-being healthily stable. Are we gonna give the proper rights, tools, and context to our employees in their homes in order to have the proper accommodation. That, at least in Spain, has been a topic, and is a topic, the evolution about productivity and the long-term impact of what we have assumed as a regular life.
Okay, let's talk. Let's take one or two questions from the audience here. Luc, if you could ventilate the questions that are live in the chat.
So people have gotten used to work from home, and they're quite productive, and it's going quite well. But pretty soon, when we'll all be vaccinated, people will be very happy to go back to the office as well again, and they'll be keen. But at the same time, they've gotten used to certain privileges and the fact that they can take their sons and daughters to soccer practice or music classes and so on. So expectation is that everybody would like to go to the office exactly on the days that suit their personal lives. But when they get to the office, they'll expect all of their co-workers and colleagues that they need to do their work that day to be in that office on exactly that day, which will never work from a personal agenda perspective, of course. How are you guys planning to fix that dilemma? Are there any guidelines that you're planning to implement? Are you asking teams to kind of come up with some kind of a work charter where they agree together? Are you imposing a day that they need to come to the office? Is it just back to normal and everybody back to the office? What's the kind of recipe that you guys are planning to apply?
I would like to start, Luc, and you're fully right with all the proposals that you have given. We ask the teams, we come up with charters and everything. The only thing that is not going to happen is it's not going to be back to normal. This is not happening.
Well, I don't know what normal is. I can say it's not back to the future. It's not back to where it was before. But I do believe that there are some serious challenges about work from anywhere. I know one of the polls says we're going to use the work from anywhere. We are born as a company with the work from anywhere concept. We're a Romanian company and would allow people, we hire people all over the world and let them the best talent to be anywhere. But there is an issue with it. I mean, there are three issues, I think. I think the work from home, first of all, in the long run, we will have issues of productivity. We will have issue of sustainability. I don't think it's a sustainable model just from home. And then we have issues of company culture. Eventually, if everybody is wherever they want, there will be a constant but real erosion of company culture. So we need to find a way indeed to provide more flexibility than in the past. But whatever you want works and work from anywhere, I think this is a bit of an illusion, at least for certain categories of profession. Obviously, it's something else for, let's say, a sales a team. Salespeople have traditionally, it's a self-selection. They're loners. They know that even though if they work for a large corporation, they might have their territories that is far from headquarters, and they have learned how to live that kind of life. They spend more time with their customers. It's a totally different story for developers, as an example, or for the HR department. So it has to do with functions as well.
I think the people in the chat kind of agree on that, and in general agree on that. I think the main question was, if we need to get to the office a number of days in the week, I imagine in cities like London, where people travel on average an hour and a half to get to the office and back home, they'll want to concentrate that on their office meetings on a number of days and work from home on a number of other days. How do you organize that on the days that they go to the office, they meet with exactly the people that they have to meet? Or will we end up where every meeting will be a hybrid meeting and where part of the audience will be working from home dialed in and the other part of the meeting will be physically in the office, and which seems to be the least effective way of meeting. Working virtually works well, working physically works well. The hybrid is still kind of a problem domain. So how do we get organized to get the right people in the office on the right day?
Well,
technology.
Well, I can give you the answer of how we've thought about it. I mean, there are two levels there. We believe that we're going to impose per departments days in the office. And then we also worry about the interdepartmental fertilization. So we're also going to impose a day for an entire company to be in the office together, but that day could be not necessarily a working day, could be half a day of training, exchanges, and so on and so forth. So I think it's important indeed for efficiency that all developers have to be in the office Monday and Tuesday or whatever it is, and then we can rotate for capacity issue, and then have 1 day per week where the entire organization is, I mean, for different hubs, needs to be there to mingle across department as well.